G'day all you wonderful people, welcome to Adventure Together. My name's Al and today I am going to give you 8 places on the Appalachian Trail that I think that you should consider sending a resupply box. On my 2022 through hike of the Appalachian Trail, I sent myself 3 resupply boxes and I was really glad I did, because in those locations a resupply for a vegan would have been very expensive and very limited. But there were also some other places that I think I could have sent a resupply box to save myself some time and money and given myself more choice when it came to the food that I ate. For the vast majority of the Appalachian Trail, it's not so hard to plan a resupply. With a few hitches into town or a shuttle, you can get to a big store and you can have lots of variety and choice in the food that you decide to eat on trail. But there were a few places that were a little bit remote, and because of that, the resupply was limited and very expensive. Now, before I go on, there is a part 2 to this video that you can watch after this video, where I break down the first 1,200 miles of the Appalachian Trail and a possible resupply schedule for you. But let's crack on with this video. And the first place that I sent myself a resupply box was mountain crossings at Neel Gap. Neel's Gap is in Georgia and it's at mile marker 31. As mentioned in the intro, the reason that I chose to send a resupply box to myself at Neel's Gap was that a resupply for vegans would be expensive and limited. Now, don't get me wrong, mountain crossings has a huge variety of food that you can buy, and they are equipped out very, very well for most hikers. Given the cost of sending yourself a resupply box, it might be cheaper to just do your resupply at Neel Gap. But if you have any kinds of dietary restrictions or dietary choices that you go by, then this might be a good place to send yourself a resupply box. The second place that I sent myself a resupply box was the Nantahala Outdoor Center, also known as the NOC or NOC. NOC is just outside Bryson City in North Carolina, and just like mountain crossings, it has a very good resupply for hikers. But just like mountain crossings, if you've got any kind of dietary restriction, then this might be a place to consider sending yourself a resupply box. For me, I'm certainly glad that I did. The third place that I sent myself a resupply box was the Fontana Village Resort and Marina. Now, most people send their winter gear to themselves at Fontana Village, and that is because you are just about to enter the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So as well as sending my winter gear to myself, I also sent 6 days worth of food to take me through the whole of the Smokies. Because I had 6 days worth of food in my resupply box, I didn't even try to resupply at Fontana Village. But from what I saw, I don't think I would have been able to do a very good resupply there, and what I would have got would have been very limited and very expensive. So those are the 3 boxes that I sent to myself. But what about the 5 other places that I think that you should consider sending a resupply box to? Well, the first one is just the other side of the Smoky Mountains, and as soon as you leave the Smokies, you might want to stay at Standing Bear Farm, which is at mile marker 241. Standing Bear Farm was a really cool place to stay, and they do have a resupply there, but what I found was very limited, and I'm glad I only had to resupply for 2 days to get me to Hot Spring, where I could get a much larger resupply. Now, from here on, it is pretty simple to resupply on a regular basis up until you get to Harpers Ferry. Now, I had heard that the ATC used to accept resupply boxes, but they no longer do. And now you have to send a resupply box to the post office. Personally, I don't like sending anything to a post office because you're limited in the hours that you can pick it up. And if you turn up on a Friday night and they have closed for the weekend, you have to wait around till a Monday, or you have to hike on without your resupply box and get them to bounce it on to another location. But if you're confident that you're going to get there on a weekday and you can pick up your box without having to wait around, then this might be a good place to get 2 days worth of food to get you to Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, where they have a Walmart a short hitch from trail. The third place that I would recommend thinking about getting a resupply box sent to you is at Bear Mountain in New York. Now, I was led to believe that around Bear Mountain I would be able to get a decent resupply at the Appalachian Deli. But when I got there to resupply, the resupply was extremely limited. Essentially, the deli itself is just a large gas station, and most of what they have there is extremely overpriced, in my opinion. So if you're thinking about sending a resupply box to Bear Mountain, New York, it is around mile marker 1410, and there are 2 post offices quite near to trail. So do some research on which one would be the better one to send a box to, because I would recommend it so that you save yourself some time and money. The fourth place that I would recommend sending yourself a resupply box is to Caratunk in Maine. This is around mile marker 2046, and I would recommend sending yourself about 2 days worth of food to get yourself to Monson, specifically Shaw's Hiker Hostel. Now, when I got to Caratunk, I resupplied at the Sterling Inn, which is a short walk from trail, but they also pick up hikers on request, and they are very hiker friendly. They do have a small resupply store there that you can do a semi-decent resupply, but again, as a vegan, I found that it was a little bit limited on its food choices, and it did turn out to be a lot more expensive than I thought it would be. Now, if you're sending yourself a resupply box to Caratunk, then you can either send it to the post office, which is very close to trail, or you can send it to the Sterling Inn, and I think they charge a very small fee unless you're staying there, and then it's free. And the fifth place that I would recommend sending yourself a resupply box is to Shaw's Hiker Hostel. Now, I just mentioned them in the last point, saying that you should get yourself a 2-day resupply at Caratunk, Maine to get you to Shaw's Hiker Hostel. And the reason that I say that you should get a resupply box sent here is because the cost. Shaw's Hiker Hostel has the best resupply closet that I have ever seen in a hiker hostel. They have a huge variety of things that you can buy, but Shaw's Hiker Hostel is the last place that you're going to do a decent resupply, and you're going to need between 7 to 8 days worth of food. The reason you're going to need so much food is because from here you're going to go all the way to the top of Caratunk. Now, if you're budgeting yourself 5 to 6 days inside the 100-mile wilderness, which stands between Monson and Baxter State Park, and then you need another 2 days to get up to the top of Caratunk and back down again, then I would say you need 7 to 8 days worth of food. This is going to be extremely costly when you're buying it piece by piece at the hiker hostel. So I would recommend getting yourself sent a huge resupply box with stuff that you bought cheap from a Walmart or a Dollar General to take you all the way through to the end of your through hike. Shaw's have a great service that you should take advantage of, and that is that they will drop half of your resupply to you halfway through the 100-mile wilderness. That's great because it means you don't have to set off from their hostel with 8 days worth of food on your back, which would be back-breaking. So instead, you only have to take 3 to 4 days worth of food, and they will resupply you the rest of your food to you for a fee halfway through the 100-mile wilderness for you to take to the end of your through hike. This means that you're only carrying a maximum of 4 days food at a time, and is a lot more lightweight on your pack and your back. So that's it. Those are 8 places that I think that you should consider sending yourself a resupply box on the Appalachian Trail. Stick around for part 2 when I give you my strategy for the first 1,200 miles of the AT and how to resupply. Can you think of anywhere else people should consider sending themselves a resupply to on the Appalachian Trail? Leave it in the comments down below. If you like this video, please leave a like. Please consider subscribing and share this video to anyone that you know that likes camping, hiking and adventure travel. And for now, that's it from me. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in part 2.